Good morning, everybody. Sorry for starting a few minutes late. The cold weather's gotten us here this morning and we're having computer difficulties. With that being said, we may lose this feed. Our magic guy behind the screen is having some problems. So if we do, we apologize in advance and we will have these lovely ladies back again another time. But hopefully Eric's got it taken care of and we'll be able to continue to see what these ladies have to share with us today. A couple announcements real quick. I think almost everybody's aware that the INL vendor portal website is down. It's been down for a long 4 or 5 weeks. We're hoping to get that back up this week or next week, fingers crossed. We've had some server issues. So if you've been trying to access that or access our acquisition forecast or opportunities page, those are both down. The opportunities page I think it's still down today too. I haven't checked it, but those will be coming back up. So please be patient with us as we work through server errors and issues here on the lab side. Our next workshop will be, I pulled that up this morning, October 9th, I believe, and we'll be having a look at the energy supply chain. Amy Lentz, who's our Director of Energy Supply Chain, will be presenting, and Mark Bronson is going to talk about managing risk in the supply chain. He gave that presentation internally a couple weeks ago, and it was really interesting, so I asked him if he'd do it on our webinar series. And so that's on the 9th. You can go to the procurement.inl.gov webpage, click on the seminar listing, and get registered for that if you want. So please do that. As we go through today's presentation, if you have any questions, please throw them in the questions in the toolbar there, and we will get to those when we are done. So with that, I am very pleased and honored to have a couple special guests with us today. Anne Swanson is here, and and Diane Bevan, they're both here, if you can see them there. Anne is the director of the Region 5 Small Business Development Center at Idaho State College of Business. In this position, she's been there since 2015, and she's responsible for helping local businesses grow and improve their bottom lines. She has had an entrepreneurial career path that included work as a marketing director, a gerontologist, health administrator, professor, actor, and consultant. She has 2 children, ages 11 and 13, and loves to travel, run, and find her keys. I think we can all relate to that one, Anne. And Diane Bevan serves as the executive director of the Idaho Women's Business Center, and she's CEO of the Idaho Hispanic Foundation. Diane has built her career on making connections and building business. She started her first business in high school designing and sewing prom dresses, and has been an ongoing entrepreneur in some capacity since then. With a communications and public relations background, she has used her combined skills to create multiple businesses in 4 states. As the first CEO of the Idaho Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in 2017, her mission was to build culture in communities. And in 2018, she founded the Idaho Hispanic Foundation and remains its CEO. In 2019, she was awarded the Women's Business Center grant from the SBA and now serves as the executive director, bringing education, training, and business development to women across Idaho. She's a busy girl. She's a board member for the Association of the Women's Business Center, Idaho Food Bank, and Valley Transit, Regional Transit. And in 2019 and 2020, both 2 years running, she's been named as the Idaho Business Review Top 50 Women of the Year. So congratulations on that, Diane. She is in her 4th year as a commissioner for the Meridian Development Corporation Urban Renewal Agency. And she's a published author of My Idaho Kitchen, and I was gonna Google that this morning and I have not had a chance to, so I will be doing that. And she still enjoys catering for special events. She resides over on the western side of the state. She's been there for 13 years. She's been married for 30 plus, and she has 4 children. So ladies, thank you very much for joining us today. I know we're all interested in what you have to tell us. So with that, Anne, we'll go to you And Diane, when she's done, if you just want to share your screen, that'd be great. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off now.
All right. Well, thank you. It's an honor to be with you today. Happy to see my associate in the other side of the state, Diane. We haven't met in person, but we've corresponded quite a bit, and our agencies really work in a complementary way. So, Diane, can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
I can.
You can. Okay, great. We're on our way then. So, the Small Business Development Center is an organization that exists in every county, or serves, I should say, every county and U.S. territory. So if you are somewhere on American soil, you have free access to the Small Business Development Center. And the mission, of course, of the SBDC is to provide consulting and training as well as research and resources to any small business, and the goal is to accelerate business growth everywhere. So business growth to us looks like additional jobs. It looks like financing, so helping people write business plans to get loans. It looks like marketing plans. It looks like helping people expand their business to a new location. So we we provide services, a diversity of services with that end goal in mind, which is to help businesses grow. We're free, like I mentioned, and that is because we receive funding from the Small Business Administration. We receive funding from the Idaho State Legislature, and we also receive funding from our host institutions. So every Small Business Development Center has typically an educational institution that hosts it. So we're very grateful to ISU for helping support our services. And as she mentioned, we are hosted in the College of Business at Idaho State University. So we've got university resources that we can bring to bear as well. And that's an excellent partnership for businesses. So a little bit about our statistics here. I brought this slide up. I won't read all of it, but I am proud of it in our region alone. So this is just in Pocatello up to Shelley, over to Aberdeen, Idaho Falls, and down through Montpelier and Malad. We've been a two-person team for quite some time here, and we managed to accomplish all of this in 2019. We created a lot of jobs. We helped start 20 businesses, and we helped raise over $10 million in capital. So that's helping businesses get a loan, helping businesses find investment money, or helping them find a way to write a grant. Sometimes we work with businesses on SBIR grant writing, which is a type of grant that goes through government agencies. So I wanted to bring this up to start with, and then kind of tell the rest of our story by introducing you to some of our clients. So first client I'd like to introduce you to is Amazing Glazed Donuts. And I don't expect you to read everything on the screen here. Amazing Glazed Donuts came to the Small Business Development Center back in August of 2017. And it was a couple that had no experience owning or running a business, but they decided that after some research and initial consultations with us, they wanted to go ahead and buy an existing donut shop, Spud Nuts Donut Shop in Pocatello. And they did some experimenting with recipes, and working alongside that process, of course, getting a donut shop up and running, they worked with us to plan their finances. So we helped them set up QuickBooks, and we helped them also find marketing channels. So we helped them with a marketing plan. That happens to be my expertise, is helping folks with marketing. And so, oops, excuse me. And so we worked with these folks to get their business open and on its feet. And then we've been working with them ever since on particularly on bookkeeping and ongoing help with marketing. Consulted them on developing a YouTube channel, and they've had some success using video to promote their business, excuse me, through their Facebook page and other venues. They've also expanded. So like I mentioned earlier, one of our goals is to help businesses expand. They most recently moved into a location at the Idaho State University Student Union Building. So you can get amazing glazed donuts there. And they're also working on a third location, a drive-through kind of hut somewhere in a different part of town. So Dean and Katie have done really well. Their donuts are fabulous. So if you're in Pocatello and want to grab an amazing glazed donut, the potato flour really makes a difference. So that's a retail business that we've worked with. The next business I'd like to share with you is Partner Steel. This is a different kind of business. This is a manufacturing company. And this company is a legacy business in Pocatello. It's been here since 1947. And I would add that that's another specialty that we have, is helping people buy existing businesses. Succession planning is really important for businesses, so we can help people do that. We weren't on the purchase end of this, but we came in to Partner Steel several years ago, and we found that they were still using green ledger paper to track their accounting for the business. So there was a guy with a pencil and a desk and paper. There's nothing electronic. So Debbie, happened to enroll in a QuickBooks class that we taught, and once we met with her in the class and we learned about the system that she had, she invited us in to help bring that bookkeeping system, I should say, and financing system up to date. So we got everything set up on QuickBooks for her. We've helped them run payroll, given advice on organizing and preparing for tax payments. So we were able to help them increase their income, and they also ended up identifying some employee fraud with our help. So they had an employee that was taking manufactured goods home with him and reselling them online. So we were able to catch that with the financial assistance and bookkeeping assistance that we offered them. If you haven't seen Partner Steel around, that's because they're usually on the web, and they sell a line, particularly popular on the web, a line on outfitting. So they have Partner stoves, they have a Johnny Partner that they manufacture. They have a variety of stovetopware. So their products are in several countries. Australia is a big buyer. So if you're interested in buying some high quality outdoor cooking gear, sanitation gear, Partner Steel has you covered. And they also do contract manufacturing for other businesses. So Partner Steel, they're a manufacturing client of ours. So the next person I wanted to introduce you to is a technology client. And this client we've been working with for almost 5 years now. And this is Blake Isaacs here. He is the CEO of Idaho. They changed the name, so Idaho Hydrotech, I believe, is what the new name is. They have a piece of equipment that goes into potato cellars. It humidifies and purifies the air, so it helps farmers with mold control, and helps keep the potatoes moist, which increases their sales weight. So we worked with him to introduce him to the Boise Angel Alliance. They're an angel investment group, and through the Angel Alliance, he got some seed money to get things rolling. We also worked extensively with him on marketing. We helped him with the website, helped him with designing materials for promotion, helped with advice on strategy. And the most recent development in IHT is that he has some European partners now, and has several machines now, 4 countries in Europe, Belgium, France, Germany, and the Netherlands. So some exciting growth from IHT. So these folks represent the whole spectrum of the clients that we work with. Everything from mom and pop retail to high-tech companies with multiple patents pending, and trying to work with them bringing that technology to market. I will also add that IHT is an applicant for a SBIR grant. If you have questions about SBIR grants, I can take them in the questions section when we have a moment. The other thing that I can go ahead and stop sharing this now here. Let's see. All right. The other topic that I wanted to cover today as well is how the SBDC has responded to the COVID-19 issues. And back in February, everything was rolling along just fine, it seemed. We had a staff of 2, like we have for a couple of years now. And all of a sudden, things, you know what happened. I don't have to tell you that play-by-play, but things changed extraordinarily. And fortunately, the US government with the Small Business Administration responded to that. And with, of course, congressional approval and help, we're able to set aside a large amount of money for businesses to access. And so our first few months of the pandemic were spent with our own learning curve, helping businesses understand how to apply for those funds, understanding eligibility, understanding payback for those funds. So we really shifted gears to help businesses access that financial aid. Along with that financial aid to businesses came some directly to the SBDC, and to that end, we expanded our staff. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the additional services that we've added with that grant money. First of all, we hired a web developer. We learned from our clients and from listening sessions at the Department of Commerce that many businesses were wanting to either up their game online, or they wanted to move their sales to a website. So we've got a person now in-house who can help advise on designing and developing an e-commerce site or improving the existing sales site. So that's been a really important hire for us, and he's been very busy working with clients across the state, getting their websites improved and ready to sell online. The other person we hired was Presley Brown. We upped her hours. She's our graphic designer, so she can be a big help in terms of developing logos or marketing materials. So we're happy to have her on board. I hired a graduate student. He's working on outreach and marketing for us. We know that there's ongoing struggle in the small business community. We've seen some closures, as you might expect. And so we're trying to connect with as many as we can to see how we can help. We have a great service that involves analyzing cash flow and helping businesses reduce expenses. So if you know a business, or you are a business that could really use some financial analysis help right now, we're set up to do that. And then most recently, we hired a CPA. So if you have tax questions and you have questions about business entity formation, those kind of things, we have a person in-house now who can answer those kinds of questions. So we've expanded our team thanks to COVID. We are certainly here to help, and the service, as I mentioned, is taxpayer funded, so it's low cost We have a great number of resources at our disposal, not only with our team and the expertise in our team, but we access resources across the state. We have a sister organization called PTAC, which stands for Procurement Technical Assistance. And that group helps folks sell to the federal government. We can also help with selling to other levels of government, whether it's state, county, city, school district. We can help connect businesses to those services. We have a couple people who are export certified. So if you're looking at exporting, we can point you in the right direction there. And the resources that we have that are available to you aren't just confined to talking heads like me in my home office. We also have a statewide webinar series. So I would encourage you to visit IdahoSBDC.org. We have webinars coming up that address lease negotiation. A lot of businesses are troubled right now with COVID and need to do some renegotiating, and landlords as well. I'd be encouraged to attend that webinar. That's coming up next week. The other one that's coming up is an introduction to selling to the government. So if that's something you're interested in, we'd encourage you to visit again IdahoSBDC.org, and you can find all the trainings there on our page. If you want to reach me, you're welcome to drop me an email at swanann@isu.edu. That's swanann@isu.edu. And with that, I will close and either turn it over to questions, I'm not sure, or Diane's going to speak now too. So I look forward to your questions and also hearing about the businesses that we have online with us today. Thank you.
All right, so I guess I'll just take it from you, Anne. So I'm excited to do that. Let me just see if we can show my screen. Give me a thumbs up if you can see a slide below me. Awesome, great. So hello everybody. Again, my name is Diane Bevan, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. And I appreciate Stacy going over my bio, and so it kind of gives you a little bit of background history of the Women's Business Center. It was a grant that we had looked at for a number of years, and then finally went after it last year, and we're so excited to launch it across the state. So I want to just kind of jump into the mission of the WBC, and it truly is to serve all women, cultures, and communities. And it's important that we help them to achieve their educational, professional, and entrepreneurial goals. And so we do this by we believe in the potential of women, minorities, immigrants, and families, and we choose to educate, train, and help them to be successful business owners. And that's really important mission of the WBC. We love our SBDC partners. It has been a proven model for us to put the Women's Business Center right alongside PTAC and at the SBDC in Nampa, in Boise, soon to be in Idaho Falls. We'll be right there in the same building. We know that we offer a little bit different services than the SBDC, and it certainly is very complementary. So let's just jump right in. We are also funded in part by a grant from the U.S. Small Business Administration. We love the SBA, and then we also have lots of partners that that work with us as well. So how did we address the community over COVID? We also were listed as resource partners in the CARES Act and did receive amount of funding that we could bring some of those taxpayer dollars back to the state of Idaho and put them to work in helping identify businesses that have been affected by the pandemic. I think pretty much everybody on the planet's been affected by the pandemic, but certainly our entrepreneurs, which is the backbone of our economy. So we immediately started creating some programs. Prior to the pandemic, we were already taking a virtual impact in creating some webinars using Zoom and utilizing some of the virtual platforms, because we wanted to reach every corner of the state into all of our rural areas and our communities. And so I'm going to go over a couple of the new programs that we have, and then I definitely am open for questions and can tell you how to get connected with us. It really is the desire of the Idaho Women's Business Center to connect with every women-owned business across the state. Whether you need assistance from a WBC or an SBDC, we still want to see your business on our network directory. We do believe that women should do business with other women, and we want to be that go-to resource. So we do run an online directory that is exclusive to women-owned businesses in Idaho and the partners that help financially support us. So we're going to jump right into, we created, this is 4 of our big top ones, but we have our Connect the Dots Mentorship Academy, our Small Business Resilience training modules, the crowdfunding platform, which I'm super excited to talk about today, and the Lingo mobile app, which was invented by an Idaho woman in business. And so we'll talk about those 4 things today. So let's just jump in first to the Connect the Dots Mentorship Academy. We did partner with a software program called Cronus, and it allows us to connect mentors to mentees. We believe that everybody should have a mentor, no matter where you're at in business. It's always good to have someone that you're not related to, that's not a business partner or an employee, to have those one-on-one conversations with. And maybe they just know a little bit more than you do, but if nothing else, they're a good listening ear for you to talk about your business in a confidential space. This program is actually going live this week, and sneak peek, you can go to iwbc.cronus, and that's CHRONUS.com, and you can see the platform and sign up to be a mentor or a mentee. So and men and women are both invited to participate in the Mentorship Academy. It's quite often that we get phone calls or emails from just wonderful people across the state that say, how can I help? What can I do to help other women in business? And so this is one of those ways that you can be a volunteer. Another part of the Mentorship Academy is called Circles. Circles are network groups that are specific to industries or specific topics to discuss in kind of a focus group virtually. We're really excited about our circle groups. I've created about 5 pilot circle groups, 2 of which are in Spanish only, and 3 of which are industry specific. We're going to start with women in agriculture, women who coach or counsel, and women in beauty. And then from there, just the general public, women that want to connect with us or possibly be a circle lead can actually submit proposals to us and say that they would like to create a circle within the academy. So we're super excited to start advertising this new program. So this is actually the first opportunity that we've had to talk about this publicly, because we've just finished our beta testing on this program. The next one is our Small Business Resilience Training. In our funding announcement opportunity from SBA, within the CARES Act, we were tasked with creating some trainings to cover 8 modules, 8 topics of how to be more prepared in case of a crisis. You know, it isn't out of the blue to think that we couldn't have another pandemic happen, crossing our fingers that that doesn't. But if another crisis does, how can we be better prepared? And I think that as a women's business center, and also maybe for you as a parent, as a business owner, as a staff member, depending on who is on this class today, you can ask yourself, was I really prepared when COVID hit? Or what small actionable task could I have taken to be more resilient? And so this is a fun, it's interactive, the entire 8 modules, it takes probably about 2 hours, but you can leave and come back to it. And they're bite-sized, robust training. So it talks about everything from cybersecurity to supply chain management, to how to be more healthy, to financial training, legal things, legal questions that you could have. As Anne mentioned, quite a few people are trying to renegotiate their leases or have legal questions about their partnership when it comes to the different barriers that they're facing. So the small business resilience training is phenomenal, and it just went live last week. And as you can tell from the slide, it's available in English and in Spanish. Being hosted by the Idaho Hispanic Foundation, it's very important to us to always have the same value for our Spanish speakers. We have a lot of Hispanic business owners across the state, and even though they actively conduct their business in English to clients all across the state, the learning level goes up much higher when we can teach in Spanish. So we know the importance of being able to learn in Spanish, even if you conduct your business in English as well. So let's kind of dive in a little deeper. These 2 trainings, there's 22 short impactful videos, 16 downloadable PDFs, and resource links in both English and in Spanish in both of those trainings. How do you access that training? It can be accessed through a link that you can find on our Facebook page at Idaho Women's Business Center. We have it listed there. We also have it on our website, and we do have a new website that is going to be launching hopefully before the end of this week, that is a little bit easier to find some of these new products. That was one of the things that we had to do, was create a little bit better mousetrap in a website to be able to host all of these wonderful deliverables. Next, we have crowdfunding. How do you tell the story? What I loved about Anne's presentation is that she told the story. She told the story of clients that had come to the SBDC there at her office requesting help, and how through their help and finding the resources and tools, they created a more profitable business. So they had that story to tell. Well, we know that not every business owner is a perfect fit for SBA funding. And we do know that some, as they're starting their entrepreneurial career, have still got to build up credit and to become bankable. That's something that we talk about a lot in the small business resiliency training, is how do you become bankable? Well, in the meantime, you're still trying to borrow to try to start a business. And sometimes that means borrowing money from family, from investors, or alternative financing. Well, crowdfunding, we know, is something that we definitely need to educate our Idaho entrepreneurs on, and we will become the first women's business center across the nation to produce a full crowdfunding platform as part of our deliverable. Well, we kind of have an extra edge on that. Kathleen Minogue with Crowdfund Better happens to live in the state of Idaho. She was one of those wonderful Californians that moved to our state to find a better place to live. And she has the business Crowdfund Better, and she's known nationally for her efforts in crowdfunding. So we have partnered with her, and we will be creating this crowdfunding platform. With that is a curriculum, and so any entrepreneur, women or men, can join our curriculum. It's, I believe, about a 10-week, and I could be wrong on that, it may be shorter than that, but it's a week of classes that you actually take through Crowdfund Better, through the Women's Business Center, to help you learn how to set up a crowdfund campaign. And so if you're asking yourself, what is crowdfunding? It's that ability to use social media platforms to ask for investment in your business or in your service that you offer. There's a number of different, maybe you've heard of Kickstarter, or you've heard of, there's a couple of other different ones that I think are more popular. GoFundMe is another one that we see that's a little bit different. Well, through Crowdfund Better and the Women's Business Center, we will be hosting a crowdfunding platform that allows women in business to try to raise funding. But you can't just immediately put that on a website. You have to kind of learn the right way. And we're going to talk a little bit about an event that we have coming up to launch that statewide. Some of the other things that you see on the slide, we have created the Business Backpack podcast. I believe it is in now week 6 or maybe 7. You can find it on any of the platforms that you listen to podcasts. And it's definitely a more relaxed podcast with our Director of Communications, Megan Bryant, our Marketing and Technology Administrator, Christina Perez. And they interview different resource partners as well as women in business, and just kind of talk about the adventures of being an entrepreneur. It's very entertaining, and I hope that you have a chance to follow the podcast. And in the middle, you can see that we do love to partner with our SBDC and our SBA offices to create webinars to help you navigate through some of the funding that was available earlier during the pandemic. We're not sure if we're going to see round 3 on the PPP. The Paycheck Protection Program still does have a large amount of dollars sitting in that, so we're kind of waiting to hear on that. So if you did not apply for Paycheck Protection that program or the EIDL, it's probably not too late. The EIDL, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Portal, is still available. It does not have the advance attached to it, but it does have a very low interest loan over a long term to help you get your business back afloat or keep it sustainable. You can find that link at sba.gov/disaster, or you can reach out to the IWBC. But we love hosting those webinars to answer the questions on how to navigate the forgiveness process. That is now listed in our on-demand library. So if you were not able to join that live, we do have that on our website at idahowomen.org. Moving right along, we have a great event that is coming up in November. So picture this: if you're a fan of American Idol or you're a fan of America's Got Talent, we have created Crowdfund Idaho Live. It's a partnership that we have with Global Entrepreneurial Week, which is the week of November 16th. And each year on that week in November, globally, in thousands of communities, states, but also in other countries, there are events hosted to highlight entrepreneurship. It's under the organization Global Entrepreneurial Network, GEN, and annually different organizations will be hosting events that week. So we decided to combine crowdfunding with Global Entrepreneurial Week to create Crowdfund Idaho Live. So if you are watching this today, or if you watch it later recorded and you have a story to tell and want to compete live on that Monday night at 7 p.m., 6 p.m. in our Pacific time zone up north, we're going to be showing your video, your audition video, as well as your crowdfunding campaign video that you will create as part of the curriculum in our Crowdfund IWBC platform. We will select between 5 and 10 competitors that will go live on that event on Monday night, and the audience will be able to vote. And so we'll have some voting, we'll have some gifts to give away. It'll definitely be an event that you don't want to miss, and we will be producing this annually. So we're super, super excited about this event that is coming up. So certainly you can go to crowdfundidaho.com, fill out the application, tell us your story, and compete for dollars to launch your business. Some of the new things that we have coming up, and I'll wrap this up really quickly so we can get into questions, is that we do partner with lots of resource partners across the state. 2 of our universities have stepped up right in our first year to be partners with us. The University of Idaho came in with the Women's Business Center at the very beginning, and they are helping us to open and launch an office up in Moscow. We have identified our Associate Director, Tatiana Morales. She is a former Vandal and has been working with a TVCC for the last little bit, and we've kind of taken her on board on our staff. So we are now expanding our reach into Idaho Falls as well as Moscow. Currently, we have offices in Twin Falls, in Boise, in Nampa, and soon to be Idaho Falls and Moscow. And so with the University of Idaho and with a partnership with them and a USDA grant, we will be continuing our outreach in Northern Idaho to have a primary focus on our Latino women in business, as well as our Native American women entrepreneurs. And we will be working with all of the tribes across the state to make sure that they have access to great resource partners as well as entrepreneurial training. On the eastern side of the state, we have BYU Idaho, who reached out to us in a partnership that they have with INL to create more economic development around the state. And we will be utilizing some of their college students this semester, as we've all seen through, not just in Idaho, but across the country, that all of our college students, as well as our high school and younger students, are having to do a lot more of their learning virtually and online. And so with a partnership with BYUI, our new Associate Director, Cheryl O'Brien, who is actually now Dr. O'Brien, she just graduated with her doctorate from ISU, where Anne is located in Pocatello. And she will be taking on that project to utilize our 44 by 22 initiative, which is truly to impact all women in all 44 Idaho counties by year 2022. We know it's a lofty goal, but we know that we can make that happen. So part of that partnership will be students from the university, BYU University in Rexburg. As part of one of their classes, they will be doing outreach and helping us to pilot that project. We're really excited about the Idaho Rural Growth Initiative, and the premise of that initiative is to identify local champions. It might be a local library director, it might be a member of a chamber of commerce, but someone who wants to step up and say, you know what, I know of 5 to 10 women in business in my own community that would love to have some training. And so the Women's Business Center will provide the Train the Trainer program, provide the entrepreneurial training, and then we will help supervise the facilitator to success so that they have an opportunity to not only bring education to the smallest of communities, but also to increase the ecosystem of partnerships around the state. So we're super excited about that project that is coming up. In addition to all of those wonderful deliverables that we created in the last 6 months, we do have our core, our ongoing connections, our one-on-one counseling. We do a lot of one-on-one counseling for women that are still just have an idea and they don't know what to do with it, and they need help figuring out if they need a patent or if they need to go ahead and just register their business. So we do Dream Engineering as our orientation. It's our first exposure to entrepreneurship to kind of identify if it's just a good idea or if it's a booming business. And we kind of go through that. Creative Framework is a 6-week cohort. That'll be the platform that will be taken in to the 44 by 22 program. And our strategic sessions are our specialized webinars that cover everything from Facebook ads, how to create a website, how to get better SEO, to how to pay yourself, how to be more profitable. And so those are all specific one-off topics that you can join for free through our Facebook platform and are hosted live on Zoom. Again, we also have our weekly newsletter that comes out. So whether you're a women-owned business or someone that just would like to follow the WBC, you can sign up on our website to join our newsletter. And again, we talked about earlier that we are announcing a brand new Spanish platform, our Mujer Unidas, which stands for Women to Women United. It truly is the goal of our WBC to bridge our Latina women into our communities and to love on them and to train them, but we also understand the importance of having things in Spanish. And so this is going to be a new landing page that is currently under construction by Jayla Digital. You can see her logo there. And with partnership of Improv Video, who created our small business resiliency training. Crowdfund Better has created our Spanish crowdfunding platform, and Lingo, that I kind of gave you a hint to at the very beginning. Lingo is an app created by an Idaho women entrepreneur that is programmed to open in the language of the owner of a cell phone. So if someone, their phone automatically opens up to Spanish, when they open up our app, everything will be in Spanish. If it's programmed to English, it will open up in English. And we know that this will be a great resource tool for us as we launch all of our Spanish deliverables. And then, of course, it is not without our amazing partners that we can impact Idaho. Our structure is a little bit different than the SBDC in that we do have to match our grant in order to stay sustainable. And as you can see, INL is right there front and center, as well as some of our other larger contributors that help us stay in existence. The Women's Business Owner Program started in 1988. And there are WBCs that have stayed sustainable that entire time. So it is certainly not without our partners that make that happen. And with that, I will close my presentation. You can certainly connect with us at idahowomen.org. I will turn it back to you, Stacy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Diane. I appreciate that. Thanks, Anne, as well. In the chat section, Anne added her contact information. So if you want to get a hold of Anne, hers is there. Diane, if you wanted to drop yours in there as well, send it to the entire audience instead of just the organizers, and then everybody will have a chance to get that. I appreciate the presentations that you guys gave us. There's a lot of very valuable information in there. Anne, I have a quick question for you. If you want to join us back here, I was wondering if you could just provide us with a real quick overview of what the SBIR grant program is. I know that we throw a lot of acronyms around, and our acronyms get really confusing. And so maybe just a real quick overview of what that program does. And
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for asking that. So the SBIR, and let me see if I can get this acronym right, is a business innovation grant. I can't remember what the S is off the top of my head. But basically, SBIR grants are grants that are offered through a government agency to a particular business. And usually those businesses, I would venture to say exclusively those businesses are typically those with a high-tech focus that have a patentable or have patented their ideas, and they are well into the R&D process and into the commercialization process as well. So what happens with an SBIR grant is that a government agency, whether it's Department of Health and Human Services or Department of Defense, excuse me, or the EPA, whatever government organizations, and there are many of them, happen to need, they will write kind of a prospectus for businesses, and these agencies will in the form of a SBIR prospectus say, this is the kind of technology we're looking for. We're trying to solve this particular problem, and we have some grant money to do this. So I can give an example of an SBIR application that was made. There was some money set aside specifically for, of course, looking at COVID and the spread of COVID, and preventing that through, I think it was Department of Health and Human Services, or a sub-agency of that same group. And they were looking at, their prospectus was, how do we stop the spread of COVID through the air? And so my client, IHT, that I just mentioned, that had the machine that works in potato sellers, he wrote an SBIR grant asking for some money to test his product for being able to take viruses out of the air and basically flush them down the sewer. So that's the kind of project that an SBIR grant might, or a prospectus might request. So it's not an easy process. I will say that it can be, well, it's a lot of paperwork. It's government, so there's a lot of paperwork. A lot of preparation has to go into the grant to kind of get it right and get it timed right. Fortunately, we've got great resources for that. We've got a team of folks through our procurement and technical assistance group who know a lot about SBIR writing. I've got some resources for grant writers that we could connect people to who've done the process before. So it's certainly a possibility. So if you have some sort of technology that you feel might be a good fit somewhere in there, let me know and I will get you to the right folks who can help vet that idea. And then if there's a good match with the government agency's need and your product or process, then we can help you get that SBIR grant application started.
That's great. I know that the INL, out of our tech transfer department, they're the ones that run the SBIR program for us. And probably 3 or 4 times a year, they put out a call for grant applications for partnership opportunities. So that's something to watch for on our website as well, because we are looking for that innovation, and it does come in through the funding from the SBIR. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Diane, I have a quick question for you too. Once COVID hit and we all moved virtually, what are you hearing and seeing from the small business community? What are their concerns? Well, first, maybe what was their biggest concern right out of the gate? The panic almost, and then maybe kind of how that's changed and hopefully leveled off as we've progressed through the summer.
Well, that's a great question, Stacy, and there's multiple of answers, but that last week of March, our phone just was ringing off the hook. We had about 245 clients come in just about a week to week and a half, and every imaginable, from I can't figure out how to pay my rent to I don't have a website, and kind of to Ann's point, I've never done e-commerce. And unfortunately we've seen some businesses that did not have any capability of selling anything other than out their front door, and because of the state mandate were closed, that have really closed up their businesses, at least for now. They've kind of basically just said, we're going to shut our doors until, and hopefully be able to reopen. But on the flip side, there's been quite a few businesses that have pivoted and said, you know what, I was an event planner, all the events were canceled, and now I'm going to learn very quickly how to run fundraisers online and how to still have clients. So we've seen some businesses really pivot and recover well. We've also seen a lot of businesses still start. And that was a really interesting thing, is that, can you start a business during a pandemic? We had quite a few that we were right in those business planning, and they were right in the middle of that big launch for the spring and summer, and then COVID hit, and they're still on the path. And so we've kind of seen, all three scenarios. What things have leveled off is what's been really interesting about our minority business community, and maybe some of our more underserved, is our biggest challenge with them was to get them willing to apply for resources. Often we would hear, we've had it hard before, this is not anything we haven't dealt with before, and they just want to kind of trudge through. And so we've had some that were already fairly resilient business owners because of previous challenges they've had, and they've actually been the most successful to push through the pandemic than those that maybe weren't as prepared. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but we certainly have seen a myriad of all three.
That's good. Ann, do you want to take a shot at that and tell us kind of what you experienced from your side as well?
I would say my experience is similar to Diane's. What has surprised us, and in a good way, is that we haven't had as many closures as we expected to have right away. So that's positive. Our ongoing concern, though, is that it's just going to take a while. And people, the longer the pandemic goes along, the more fallout we'll see from that. And typically, we had some internal education with a bankruptcy attorney a couple of weeks ago, and she said that typically when there's an economic shock of some kind, that bankruptcies don't happen right away. There's usually kind of a rolling fallout from that. So it's typically like a year later that things start showing up, or the effects start showing up in terms of bankruptcy, business closures, and things like that. So we don't want to be complacent about that at all. However, it's strangely back to business as usual in the SBDC, and all of us are a little bit kind of scratching our heads about that. But I think that may be the underlying condition, is that these things just kind of take a while to unfold, especially if there's the initial shock and folks have some help through this initial period through the PPP CARES Act money. But we are, of course, concerned that there's going to be delay, and we'll see that later.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. I think it's really important to just even recognize that SBA rolled out a program so quickly. And we've seen businesses save because of the PPP and the EIDL, and there is still money out there. And I think that that's probably one of the most important messages, is that businesses that were able to get the PPP funding, Stacy, and they used it exactly how they were supposed to in the 8 weeks they were supposed to, they filled out their paperwork for the forgiveness. But to Ann's point, the pandemic continues. And I think that it hasn't recovered as fast as maybe we all thought it was back in March. We thought, oh, this is just going to, happen for a couple months and we'll all be back. And so I think now, because that portal is open till the end of the year, or until money runs out, that there is an opportunity for those that they got money from the beginning, they've been able to keep their employees or bring them back, but business is not coming in as quickly as maybe has been expected. They need to continually look for resources, whether it is the EIDL loan or whether it is crowdfunding or whether it is a grant. I think that you have to continually be on that path to survival mode. We're still very much
I think that's a great point, Diane. I wanted to add, and I think it's so important that you bring up that the EIDL loan money is still available. People can still apply for that. The other loan that's recently come out is called a CARL loan. It's C-A-R-L. And the CARL loan has some constraints around it, but it is available for people who've already received PPP money or EIDL money. So if you, our kind of partner, in this CARL loan application system is a regional development agency called MoFi, M-O-F-I. So if you Google MoFi CARL, capital C-A-R-L loan, you should come to their resource page. So there is an additional chunk of money there through this CARL loan program. The acronym escapes me, but I do know that applications are due by, I think it's September 27th. So if that's something that interests you, by all means, Google that. Maybe you could put that in the chat, Stacy. It's MoFi is the organization that's helping with the loan application process, and the loan is called CARL, C-A-R-L.
All right, I dropped that in there. You'll have to, if I messed it up, you'll have to let me know.
Okay.
So we are just right at 10 o'clock. We started a few minutes late, so I'm going to take just a couple minutes to, again, thank you ladies for presenting with us today and offering insight into the opportunities and the services that you provide for our small businesses. Small businesses are very important, not only in Idaho, but across the country. They are the backbone, as they say, right? And so our goal with this series is to provide that education to small businesses that may be needing help, unaware of all the resources that are available. And so I do appreciate you taking the time to join us today. For those attendees to our webinar today, thank you for your time. I did drop a little chat down there that asked you to please send me some feedback on if you think this webinar series is valuable. Number one, is it worth an hour of your time every month to do this? And then what else, if it is valuable, because you may come back and say it's not valuable, and I'm okay with that. But if you do find it valuable, let me know some of the topics you'd like us to cover. We can share more on specific INL missions that we have and some of the upcoming needs that we may see. For us, business didn't slow down. We have continued to award contracts and purchase orders since we moved home, and we've found that we can do it pretty effectively. We're still spending money. So what is it that you need to hear from us? But I can't just sit here and guess about it. So I really need your feedback so that we can continue to take this in the right direction. And we're happy to do that if you find it valuable. So with that, I thank you for your time. Join us again in October when we talk about supply chain, if that's an area of interest to you. And we will be posting this video to our webpage once we get it back, and we'll get it uploaded up there. So again, Diane and Ann, thank you so much. And everybody enjoy the rest of the day and stay healthy.